What's up, everybody? How is the world? How's everybody doing? My plants are still asleep. Um, I'll wake them up before I end the live. However, I'm quite disappointed in myself. My Afghani is pissed off at me. I'm hoping she straightens back up. I need to stop being so fucking aggressive with my watering. My G13 BSE is doing good, and the Afghani baby's doing good. But I actually took let me turn the camera on. I actually took the big Afghani outside and put it under the sun today, hopefully and dry it out some. And was reading also that a small plant in a large pot is not good because the soil at the bottom of the pot essentially is getting no activity. It's just sitting there stagnant, especially if it's not draining well. So I put it into a smaller pot, and hopefully that'll help push it back into the way it was looking, instead of looking all shitty and droopy like it is now. All right, so that there on the screen, that beautiful bud you see there is Bubba Fett, which locals started an application instead of just the internet thing. So I started typing up a review on Bubba Fett on locals and had a good bit of it typed up. Phone died. Well, I wasn't worried about it because typically locals saves your draft, but not on the application. So I'm assuming that's just about 2 hour and a half, 2 hours of work down the drain. So I'll be all right. I'll just redo it. Anyways, let's have a dab, shall we? It's about that. I need one. You know what else we need? A charger. Before my phone touches it on me. You'll have to stay there visually, but come with me audibly. Sounds like you're saying I do believe or something, except for Australian. Audibly. Oh, popping out and flying like a fucking bunny rabbit. Hoppity hop. All right. So, by the way, anybody wants to say, hey, you person out there who I don't know that looks like you're doing some illegal activities, the chat's open if you want to say stuff. I do have certain words blocked, though, so people can't call me like a fucking, you know, what people always call me. Yeah. Can't say that anymore because I have that word blocked. I have a couple different sets of words blocked. People trying to be silly heads. I assume if you're on another platform, I guess you can still type it in, but it's just not going to show up on the screen here on Rumble. All right. Let's have a dab, shall we? So if you're wondering what the title of this live is all about, profits over people, it's a simple fact of the matter, to be honest. Maryland's industry is exactly that. It is profits over the people. They might make it seem like in their advertisements they're all about the people and all about you and all about making sure you get the best quality cannabis, and there's blah, 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 blah. It's all bullshit. Because in my humble opinion, if the industry cared that much about things, they wouldn't do things like actively and consistently manage to block state residents from being involved, or do things like force the FTC to have to end non-competes because of the extent that they're getting utilized for bullshit reasons. A non-compete, honestly, and you can disagree with me if you'd like, it was never meant to protect something like a cannabis industry that was stolen from the people to begin with. It is made to protect proprietary information, proprietary data, proprietary things, right? Explain to me what aspect of industrialized cannabis production is proprietary to any one of them. None of it. Not a fucking bit of it. BHO, streets. Shatter, created on the streets. All this shit was made by scientists who went out on a limb on the streets. Not in the lab, in a fucking industrially whatever fucking corporation. No, those corporations hired individuals off the street to show them how to run the equipment, which they had no fucking clue how to run to create the product that they wanted to sell. So, yeah. And then you have the bootlickers of industry who are willing to forego anything and everything to give up what they know and their knowledge on cannabis and how to operate the systems. And at this point, obviously, the industry is already well aware of how to operate the systems, and they're able to, hey, pick somebody out of this state and bring them over here if they have to, whatever. But it irritates me. Especially the non-compete thing. I am so fucking glad that the FTC ended the non-compete, and I know that that businesses are fucking pissed about it. The cannabis businesses in particular, because now they can't prevent their trimmers from quitting and then going over to another business that's paying better, which is one of the big reasons that they use their non-competes. Not to protect their proprietary information. It's used for predatory purposes, like to keep their trimmers or their packagers from leaving there and going somewhere, like a new business comes in and they're paying more money, so they want to go there and work. That's their fucking right. As a worker in a free market, that's the right of the fucking people to get up and go to that new job. If that new job is willing to take them on, knowing that they're leaving another place, that's that individual's choice. It's a proven fucking fact that people who switch jobs more often make more money. People who stay at the same job their entire life make less money over that period of time. Proven fact. That's not bullshit. Look it up yourself. People who switch jobs, not irresponsibly switch jobs, but responsibly switch jobs more often make more money than people who stay in the same bullshit position their entire life, hoping to climb up the fucking corporate ladder that they never make it up, in most cases. And honestly, I'm very, very torn between the desire to work in cannabis and to work in the field that I have a true passion for, to work hands-on with something that I know a lot about and love to learn about. And the fact that to do that, I have to be working under one of these fucking corporations. And ideally, I would like to work for one that isn't fucking the Joker in disguise. But I did hear some good news anyway, from a company that I applied for a while back and got turned down naturally because I had that non-compete against me. But I reapplied for cultivation technician, and I don't know. I got an email back about like part of their onboarding process, so they're at least looking at the application and taking it into consideration. Because I got the beginning of the onboarding process which it takes months sometimes to fucking get pulled into a cannabis facility, especially for cultivation or lab tech or something like that. It took like a month and a half at Trillium to get all the way into the lab. Pretty sure that's about how long it took. Do the piss test, the background check. Then their onboarding person got fired in the middle of me being onboarded, so they had to switch it. That was confusing. Oh, it's the third time the lighter hit the floor. That was too good of a hit to get too excited about it. Oh, that was a real nice hit. So funny, this is sativa. It's definitely a creeper insofar as the sativa effect goes. It doesn't hit with like a slap of hyped up psychoactivity. It's got beta-caryophyllene and beta-myrcene at a reasonable ratio too, so you don't get all freaky outy. Oh boy, I had a fucking horrible nosebleed earlier. I mean, like, oh boy, I had to stick like a quick clot thing on my nose, and it still barely fucking clotted it up. When I pulled the quick clot out, I pulled a clot out of my nose, like, I don't know. I went through like 3 paper towels rolled up and stuffed, and it literally soaked the whole paper towel, and then I had to pull it out, and 3 of those, and then a gauze, like with quick clot stuff, like in the gauze pad, and it took like an hour and a half before it actually stopped completely. Oh, I had such a bad nosebleed earlier. And I get them pretty regularly, but it was just severe earlier. So why does the industry care about profits over people? Well, in my opinion, when you're taking cannabis that your IPMs have neglected to complete the totality of their work and their job and ensure that the cannabis is not moldy, and instead of foregoing that crop, you go ahead and irradiate it with radiation to cleanse it of all the mold. Then I venture to say that you're selecting profits over the people. Now, would that suck? Oh yeah, that would really suck if you got mold in the crop and had to irradiate, had to get rid of it. It just blows my fucking mind that they're saying that we have not studied the cannabis that we're smoking. We have not studied dabs. We have not studied the long-term effects of inhaling something like a dab. We haven't studied the long-term effects of butter versus batter, of shatter versus fucking CRC. None of this shit. Like, none of these, and we don't have studies, and we don't even have studies on the flower that people are smoking that make these dabs and things. And the ultimate example of the industry here in Maryland choosing profits over people is in the fact that underhandedly and very quietly, they are, as I said, prepare, because in July, if I'm incorrect, I'll take it back. It may be a little bit later, but I'll own it if I'm incorrect. But I'm telling you, I have it from a reliable source that recreational will have access to concentrates in July. Sure, exciting, great for everybody. What's not great is the fact that, and I can't say for sure, but entrepreneurs have already been locked into their licensing, to their contract for their licenses. Now, I know that they were only allowed distillate and edible processing. Entrepreneurial processors were stipulated in the legislation as to not be allowed to process anything with terpenes in it, essentially. Anything that makes it, and which my thoughts there, because I'm very analytical, I thought, well, I do not see anybody who ran that fucking legislation, who was handing over the money and arguing for that, saying something to the effect of, well, the synergistic implications of terpenes and cannabinoids, that implies the therapeutic the therapeutic application of these products. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to maintain control of that. No, it was more so the fact that terpenes create very novel and unique presenting aromatic profiles, things that are unique and allow companies to brand themselves uniquely on the market. And if you take away a processor's ability to access those specific, vibrant, bright, name-making things, then you maintain control of that. Not only do you ensure that they only have access to processing a part of that dab market, but they can only process the part of it that doesn't really make them stand out from you. Now, they are able to sell on the medicinal market as well as the recreational market, right? Entrepreneurs are only allowed to sell on the recreational market, which if they do not allow access to dabs, means entrepreneurs is distillate and edibles, just like in the fucking dispensary. Now, do you understand what I'm saying here? If they allow recreational users access to the dabs, one, it's going to drive up price, but my main contention here is the fact that are they allowing the entrepreneurial processors to process the dabs? Because they said only distillate and edibles, and if they maintain that and allow recreational users to buy them, they straight up fucked over every single person who paid for those licenses. Because that is a solid, guaranteed 20% of the fucking market. And just the distillate is a very small portion of that. People do not buy the distillate. They do not want the distillate. They want live resin, live rosin, shit fucking packed in with the terps. Being a recreational cannabis industry before all this shit started, the legacy market, people weren't used to terpenes. When we got unique smelling weed, it was very, very few and far between here in Western Maryland. Like once in a while, things like Girl Scout cookies would roll in, but it was typically strains that smelled as you would expect a recreational street strain to smell like. If you live in an illegal state, you know what I'm talking about. Skunky, rank, dank. Shit in the dispensary, you get everything from fucking just everything. There's shit that smells like pink lemonade and blueberry muffins and insane. So again, you take away an entrepreneur's ability to access those types of things, and you take away their ability to put themselves in a unique brand position. And that's fact. So I'm really interested to see if, because it's all hush hush. Like, this was told to me by somebody who, the people who he explains it to, many of them don't even believe him. And the person that told him is 100% not full of shit. So, I mean, I can't give any more detail than that. But yeah, yeah, that's going to be crazy. And I can't believe that nobody's standing up against it. 1,500 people applied for those licenses. If those 1,500 people, if those 2,000 people who applied, the 500 got knocked out because they didn't have the proper everything set up outside, because you have to have, as well as all of your money in place, pretty much everything business-wise in line. And if you didn't, then you got denied the ability to even take part in the lottery. But you lost your initial entry fee. That entry fee that added up to a total of over $9 million that they made from the disproportionately affected people of Maryland. Yeah. Those poor, disproportionately affected people. And I'm not bashing the entrepreneurs of Maryland in any way. People make theirs and they get there and they do this, but it should not be that way. It should not be a fucking price tag of $50,000 just for a piece of paper. That's just a license. When you see the price tag of just you can't, no fucking person can afford that. No average person, no person who would actually be, the people who thought they would be able to get involved in the industry, they're not. What they get to do is work at the bottom for all these fucking corporations. And mainly reason being why is because our state allowed the corporations to come into the state, establish themselves before anybody had a chance to do any fucking thing. These companies were selling for 3.5 years with a client base established. I mean, it seems fucking criminal. Like, not even the actual corruption. Like, set the actual corruption aside. Like Trulia, the CEO of Trulia's husband, okay? 3 years in federal prison, $1.25 million fine for public corruption charges related to bribery, mayoral payments, fucking related to the establishment of Trulia in Florida. And then you take Maryland, the delegate that was found to be accepting bribe money from companies looking to get their social equity medicinal licensing so that they could start selling on the Maryland market. And she was convicted, and we were told, don't worry about it, there's no issue. We looked into it. We did an investigation. There's no issue. Yeah, you did an investigation into the conglomeration of cannabis corporations that paid $2.48 million per dispensary so that they could knock out competition, and then the state pays them back $1.25 million per dispensary and $500,000 per processing plant. Why? What the fuck is the point in that? What the point was to drive out hands and exchange of money. And that's exactly what the fuck just happened right there. Right in front of our fucking faces. $2.48 million to turn the medicinal market into a recreational market, which means absolutely nothing because it was developed recreationally. It came from a recreational market. The only medicinal value is inherent in the cannabis's natural existence. That's the inherent value of we don't have any medicinal therapeutic applications of cannabis save the inherent medicinal value of cannabis. $2.48 million given to the state per dispensary to change the market to a recreational market as well. Dual market. All they fucking did was took the product and moved it over to another shelf, relabeled it, and changed the paperwork. Like, a little bit of that money might have paid for the paperwork and to make the paperwork look better and to make it look good. $2.48 million to the state per dispensary, $1.25 million paid back to each company, $500,000 per processing plant, $1.25 million per dispensary. What, like, there's no, absolutely zero point in that. Just an exchange of money, which I don't even know how much that adds up to. If you look at how many dispensaries were in the state at the time, multiply that by 4.2, not 4.28, 2.48 million. 2.48 million. It was up to 2.48 million technically, and they're getting paid back 1.25 million per dispensary and $500,000 per processing plant that they paid to have transferred to a dual market, which was all of them, because if you did not pay that fee and have it transferred to a dual market, what happened was you lost the license which you paid for. You still had it, you still have it, but you can't do anything with it because you can't sell on the dual market. So that's what they pushed out a lot of business whenever they did that. For example, Cannabis went, for whatever reason, whether they chose to close or whether they went under for inability to afford that drastic fucking fee. One of the only female-run dispensaries in Maryland, they shut down and was bought out by one of the individuals pushing this legislation to pay the $2.48 million, and I'm sure they weren't asking to pay it. Oh, who was that? Mackie Bark, CEO of Culta. Culta bought that Cannabis, by the way. I come up with nicknames too, by the way, for the CEOs that I don't like. There's Mackie Got No Bite Barks, CEO of Culta. You can check him out on my locals, talking shit on the people of Maryland if you want. Very old post, but it's on there. And then there's Kim Corruptible, you know, Kim Possible from the cartoon back in like my millennial time when I was a kid. Yeah, Kim Corruptible River, CEO of Trulia. And there's evidence to support everything that I'm saying here. Kim Corruptible's husband, JT Barnett, 3-year sentence for public corruption charges in Florida, which is where they came from before they came here. So, yeah. Nothing to worry about there at all, considering that one of those companies that got their social equity licenses was paying bribe money to a delegate. But they did an investigation, and we have nothing to worry about, guys. I do not understand why people are not more irate that it is not an open fucking market. Everybody's just bowing down to the fact that they're allowing us to use cannabis. Hey, yes. I don't even want to say it. Yeah, oh my God. It's just, it is very silly. I'm hoping people get over the novelty of the situation and realize what's actually fucking happening. But I don't know if there's enough people who give a shit or enough people who are aware enough to give a shit. I don't know. I have no idea. I don't think there are. I mean, when I speak to certain individuals, I know there are people out there who are aware of the situation and how things are and how fucked up the whole situation is. And yeah. Yes, it's awesome that cannabis is legal. I sound like fucking Negative Nancy, bitching and boohooing and bawling. No, fuck that. Fuck that shit. Fuck that. We created the fucking market. And when I say we, I mean the people who were persecuted for fucking 60 goddamn years for smoking fucking weed, for having fucking weed, being targeted for every fucking thing you can imagine because of fucking cannabis. Whether you're a good person or a bad person, it doesn't fucking matter. Fuck that shit. And then you want to take a market that was created by the people, strains that were developed by individuals who some are still sitting in prison to this day, that's being sold on the market by corporations that net $1 billion, like Verano, for example, who irradiate their weed and use fucking PGR growth hormones in their cannabis to make it rock solid. So, bottom dollar, increase that weight, as if the legacy market didn't already do that by hybridizing indica with sativa cannabis, right? You get the density of indica, and I'm sure there's other ways to naturally increase the density of the cannabis that would actually take time and maybe a little bit of money and things like that. But no, they would rather use the safe stuff to harden up the weed. You know, like that safe radiation. It gets rid of all the mold that's in there. It's almost like it's like they think about mold like it's some kind of ethereal substance. Like it grows, and it's like there's no physical form there. It's just a spirit form. It grows on the weed, and we're going to use our ultra cool safe radiation. And I know I sound like a dork because it's non-ionizing radiation. I understand what safe radiation is. I get it, but how the fuck do they know that is safe on the cannabis to go ahead and smoke and ingest, or to take that and turn it into concentrates? How do they know that what they do to it when they use it for concentrates doesn't do something to that cannabis that's irradiated? How do we know that the irradiated cannabis, whenever you run it through fucking so many atmospheric pressures at whatever fucking cold ass temperature, like how do we know? We don't know any of that shit. Yet they're going ahead and doing it. They don't give a fuck. Bottom dollar, baby. Pump it out. Another example, not even about ingesting the cannabis, just about the individuals working on the market. Do they know the long-term effects of exposure to all of these, like all of the alcohol vapors that are present? And for example, the labs, if you work in a lab around all the alcohol vapor or butane vapors that you're around all the time, what's the long-term effects of all of that on the workers? Are the workers going to be compensated for that when they're 60 years old and they're fucking have some crazy disease because they worked around alcohol fumes their entire life? We don't know any of that shit. Like maybe we know about the alcohol part. It's just an example, and I think you understand what I'm saying. What's the effects of being in a giant warehouse full of supposedly irradiated moldy weed? You know what I mean? What's the long-term effects of that? There's long-term effects on farmers of being inside barns and things, and they get to be outdoors and stuff. Like these places are like fucking locked in and trapped down. Of course, they got good ventilation and stuff, but they still smell like a fucking barn. I don't even think it smells like cannabis. I think it smells like a barn. Like when you get back from a facility, you can smell the cannabis, but like close up, you know, it smells like a barn. Like hay. Hay's for horses. Grass is cheaper. You can mow it yourself. That redneck guy needs to do that one. Hay's for horses. Grass is cheaper. You can mow it yourself. I don't know. I don't know how I did it. I just did it. It was hard. All right, I need to cut it down. Let me take one more. I don't know what you're going to do out there, anybody in the world, but have me one more small dab. I don't have very much dabbity do left. Good thing I save up my reclaim. Reclaim is like resin. It's like the new age resin. Except it's way fucking better. It's like way better than resin used to be. You know what I mean? Because you actually get some actual dabs in it and stuff. Like some of the dabs get pulled back into the whatchamajiggy. Having the tool and stuff, I get so much fucking dab on the tool, especially if I don't wipe it off super good. There's lots of dab on there. And if you stick the nectar collector on there and seal it onto the tool, you get one hell of a hit off of it. I just see something there in the chat. Somebody talking shit, or I can't see it. Oh, I'll have to look afterwards. I'm not online. I can't zoom into that. I'm not online. Apologies. That's shitty. Somebody said something. Don't know if somebody's being mean or if they're being nice. But hey, either way, thanks for getting the chat up. I blocked several words that people like to use to insult me. So those words can't be used. Plus they use them because I think shit like that triggers the algorithm. At least it does on Facebook. They do that shit on Facebook anyway. They'll come in and use certain words, try to get your fucking... Which my live on Facebook, if I go live on Facebook, it never fucking works anyway. That's why I use this. Send it to Facebook. Oh, that's much better. This might be sativa, but it's got a fairly relaxing buzz. And it's 70-30 sativa, too. It's not like a fucking light sativa. It's pretty hefty. I still got that oil in there. I see it. I think it was oil in there. I know it didn't get to hit. The pearl's just not rolling around like it's supposed to. So I'll go ahead and hit the oil. That's better. Would you like to see my babies? I will go get them. What time is it? Yeah, we are good. 6 hours of nappy nap. I know I've had several people tell me I shouldn't wear my nose ring. I've had my nose pierced for 13 years, a long time, uh, way before all this woke shit started. I've said my ears gauged out and shit too. I just don't have them. Alright. Oh yeah, she's perking up some. That's better looking. Alright. Yeah. I gave her some treatment. The Afghani one, I took it outside today to the field. I put it out in the sun pretty much the whole day until it actually went to sleep a little later than the others so that it could get more sunlight. Then I put it in a smaller pot before I put it to sleep and put holes down into the soil to dry it out with my finger. And then I put a fan in the tub in the dark while I was sleeping, directly on the Afghani, blowing down into the dirt and stuff. And I specifically put it down so that see if the leaves would perk up a little bit, like work against, because if they stand up working against the wind like that, and it wasn't super strong wind, it was just enough to blow on it, but and actually the top leaves are standing back up and everything's not as droopy, so that's positive. That's good. Actually in the morning she's perked back up. And I need to not fucking do that again. Alright, I'll get the shit hooked. 1 light, 2 light, 3 light, 4, 5 light, 6 light, and a bunch of lights more. There, here. Yeah. There we go. 885 watts. Just like that. Alright. Not exactly which is ideal. Alright, here's the G13. The Afghani. There's G. Flip, flip, flippity flop. There's my G13. That acid reader isn't right. I have to pull it out and clean it off and stick it back in. It's fucking weird. But that's the G13 BSE cross. Nice and perked up. I need to give it a snip. I'll do that tomorrow night. Give it another clippity clip. And there's the Afghani. Told you, she's a little pissed off. But I trimmed off those lower 2 leaves. Also trimmed off those bottom 2 branches to give the top a little more energy. And everything I did seemed to have worked. I did all that right before I put her to sleep. So, yeah, and when I pulled it out, I got rid of that fucking hardened up, wet ass fucking root ball that was around the roots. Not by water. I took my fingers and very loosely did that right there, very loosely. and got it all busted up and stuck her back down in soil. I dangled it with my fingers and then knocked the soil in around it. That way you're not smashing the roots down onto the bottom. So, I'll show you her tomorrow. She should be perked back up nice. And see these holes down in here, they also help dry the roots out because the roots are just right through there. So, yes sir. But G13's coming along quite nice. And I was way off on the weeks, by the way. This was only this is just now 5.5 weeks or 5 weeks, somewhere in there. I don't know why I miscounted so poorly, but luckily I wrote stuff down. So this is at 5 weeks, right around 5 weeks. And that leaf damage is incidental damage, where I fucking got some feed on it. Your buddy. Anyway, oh, yeah, I got my little seedling too. I got my seedling. I remember the ESM is gone, passed away. Well, I'm attempting to root it, clone it, but I doubt it'll work. But I'm attempting to put roots back on it. If it works, I'll put it back in the soil. I'll see what happens. I play with plants all the time. Cannabis can't be that goddamn fucking different. Anyway, flip camera. There's the Afghani seedling. And that one is also pissed off right there. And here, I'm pretty sure because I got this feed water on it several times. I had to spray it off pretty hardcore with hydrogen peroxide diluted water. But she's okay. She's still growing along. She's got her little tiny leaves coming up there like little jumping spiders. That one's going to go outside. She's going to go back outside tomorrow, out to the field. One of my neighbors are fucking itching and seeing me take it out. Anyway. Nosy people. Have a lovely, lovely time, people. Day, evening.